The Silent Apartment, 1948. In the winter of 1948, Miami was glowing with new money and seaside glamour. Luxury buildings rose along the coast, each one promising safety, beauty, and silence. But one building on Collins Avenue became known for something else entirely. It started with a complaint from the neighbors. They said they heard laughter coming from the top floor every night. Not the laughter of adults, but of children. Strange, echoing giggles that lasted until dawn. When the building manager went to check, he found the penthouse door locked from the inside. He knocked for several minutes. No one answered. But behind the door he swore he heard whispers. Two small voices repeating something over and over. He called the police the next morning. Detective Samuel Griggs and his partner, Officer Milton Lowe, arrived that afternoon. The penthouse belonged to a man named Arthur Beckett, a shipping magnate who had moved to Miami 2 years earlier. But no one had seen him in months. When police entered the penthouse, they froze. Inside were two twin girls about 9 years old. They were identical, pale, thin, and wearing silk nightgowns. Their eyes were calm but distant, like they were expecting the police. There were no adults in the apartment, no servants, no nannies. Yet the fridge was full of food, the beds were made, and the girls were freshly bathed. "Where are your parents?" Griggs asked. The twins looked at each other before one finally answered. "They're not here anymore." "Who takes care of you?" The second twin whispered. "We take turns." In the master bedroom, police found something that made their skin crawl. Every mirror in the room was covered with black cloth, and on one of the walls, written in neat, childish handwriting, were the words, "Don't let them in." The detectives exchanged looks. They searched every inch of the penthouse, closets, the balcony, the vents. Nothing. No sign of Arthur Beckett or his wife. But in one drawer, they found a photograph. It showed the twins sitting on a beach beside their parents. The date on the back read July 3, 1947, only a year ago. Both parents smiled in the picture, yet their faces were scratched out with a pencil. The girls refused to say who did it. When the officers prepared to leave, one of the twins asked softly, "Can you stay until morning?" "Why?" Griggs asked. The girl's expression didn't change. "They only come at night." At night, Detective Griggs couldn't sleep. Something about those girls, their calmness, their silence, stayed in his mind. The next day, he returned to the penthouse with a social worker. The building manager said the lights had been flickering all night again. When they arrived, the door was still locked. Griggs knocked. No response. He forced it open. The penthouse was colder than before. The food in the fridge was untouched. The girls were sitting at the dining table dressed in the same nightgowns. "Did anyone come here last night?" the social worker asked. The twins looked up slowly. One of them pointed toward the covered mirrors. "They tried to come through." Griggs removed one of the black cloths from the nearest mirror. The glass beneath was cracked in several places, but the cracks looked strange, like handprints pressed from the inside. When he asked who they were, the girls wouldn't answer. They only said, "If you see them, it's already too late." That evening, Griggs decided to stay overnight. The social worker left, uneasy. The girls went to their room without protest. At exactly 2:37 a.m., the lights flickered. Then came a sound. Faint tapping, like fingernails brushing against glass. Griggs followed the noise into the master bedroom. The covered mirrors were trembling, the fabric rippling as if something behind it was trying to move. The whispering began next. Two voices, not the twins, deeper, distorted. He tore off the black cloth. For an instant he saw his own reflection, but behind him stood two tall, shadowy figures with hollow eyes and twisted smiles. The glass cracked with a sharp pop, and the reflection vanished. He stumbled out of the room, sweating, heart pounding. The girls stood in the hallway watching him. "They found you," one said. By dawn, the girls were gone. The penthouse was empty again, the beds untouched, the mirrors bare. Griggs searched for weeks. No records of the twins, no relatives. The Beckett family's financial accounts had been frozen years before. It was as if they had never existed. Neighbors said the laughter never stopped. Some nights it came from the hallways, sometimes from the elevator shaft. In 1951, the building was quietly demolished after a fire destroyed the top floor. No one claimed responsibility. But years later, a photo surfaced in a Miami antique shop. Two smiling girls in silk nightgowns. On the back, written in the same childish handwriting, were 3 words: "Don't let them in."